What is going on, guys? It is your boy Seso here, bringing you guys a cool little Photoshop tutorial, bringing you guys today a manipulated advertisement design tutorial today. So pretty much I just wanted to like do an advertisement design because I haven't done one in forever. So I thought of like just doing like a concept with a screen with like the advertisement is Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. So if you guys don't check the description right now, I have all the different props that I use. I did just Call of Duty because, like, of course, my community has like a half Call of Duty community, and of course, a new game is coming out. I'm most hyped for is the remastered version. I need to buy a PS4 or or a PlayStation, Xbox. Xbox One or PlayStation 4. I don't know which one yet, but I'm deciding on PS4, I believe. Anyway. So the prompts will include, basically, this is a Modern Warfare screen, I guess, and this is where I also got the airplane from, and it's just in here, right? It's right there, and then of course this background actually is the same exact image right here. So we have that. We have the tank. We have a smoke texture we're gonna be using, and we have another like cool explosion texture. I got this texture or stock from an old banner design that I did because I really wanted this one in particular and I couldn't find it. So it's like maybe I have it in my old banner design tutorial. I do, and this is gonna be like for the tank because there's two renditions. I have like this example or this version of it, and then I have this one which is kind of like, you know, just the tank's not shooting and you're like, you know, just like it's clean text, nothing crazy else going on here. This was really dope as well, but I like this one because I felt like I, you know, did something different, like with a little tech. I don't know, it was cool, okay? And then we have the bullet there. That's right here. Oops, right here. Which really shouldn't be a bullet, but it's probably like a tank missile of some sorts, but, you know, bear with me. And then this is the screen we're going to be using. And then this is the jet fuel from the back. You know what I mean? This stuff. That's what that is. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a fun little manipulation, and it doesn't have to be exactly with, you know, I did it on Call of Duty. I have like epic explosions and stuff like that happening, and it does not have to be that. It can, like, I thought to myself, I was gonna do this again. What would I do? I would probably go ahead and just maybe like use like a water or an ocean, like for the screen as a screen, right? And we have like, except for explosions in the background, maybe have like waves, which is really easy to find these kind of simple stocks like waves, and then except for like you see how they have these little sparks coming out, that can be like splashes of water, etc. So it's just like, and maybe have clouds rather than smoke. It's literally it's just like a mind game when it comes to manipulation. Of course, it's not just throwing textures or throwing stocks or something like that on another stocks. It's more, it has to be planned. You have to know what you're going to be having on your actual manipulation to actually, you know, make it somewhat realistic or somewhat doable, right? So that's why I have these props here for you guys. I'm going to be using these exact same ones. If I have to Google anything, I will Google something. But for now, that is that. Also, guys, if you guys did not know, I have this over here. I made two new products for the Seso HQ, sellfy.com/SesoHQ store. And the thumbnail preset pack is doing really, really freaking well. So if you guys want to purchase it, it's $6. And there's also a video that comes with it that explains it. And you also get the previous version of the old thumbnail pack. As you see, these thumbnails do look pretty badass. And this pack will update. So if you guys do purchase it, it will be updated and stuff. And also the pre-made bundle pack, 12 pre-mades in one. So there's 12 different fully revamped, you know, Twitter, YouTube, and avatar, and some of them even have like overlays and stuff like that in them. But 12 fully revamped, $96 value. I know I spelled that wrong. Don't tell me. I'll fix it later. So yeah, it's only for $10 too. So at one point, each of these things cost $8. So bear with me. If you guys want to go ahead and purchase that, you guys could. But there's going to be more pre-mades that are not going to be in this bundle. This is just kind of like a collective bundle that I had previously that I wanted to, you know, give out and just basically, literally basically give it out because it's only $10. So I'm going to have different pre-mades out. There's going to be, you know, of course, continue with the $8 and then etc. Pre-made bundle 2. You get it? You get that? Okay, so that's that. And of course, the Everything Pack for Life now has exclusive items because some items got taken off the store to make it kind of more clean and stuff like that. So the Everything Pack is just now even more worth it. So yeah. Okay, so with that all being said, I think we're good to start. And basically the way I'm going to go ahead and start this is a simple black background, or kind of like a bluish black, as you guys can see. The hex code for this is 0A0A0C. And so pretty much what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to take my monitor here, and I'm going to say, this is a little bigger than I want it. I'll say like that size. And right now I'm just going to do this version of it, which is just going to be in the middle. And maybe I'll make it a little bigger, actually. I want to maybe keep that size. No, because then everything's going to be super big. Okay, we'll just go with that. So the first thing I noticed that I had to do was actually figure out how I kind of wanted this monitor to be. And I already noticed that I did mess up the pen tool and I actually pen tool it out. So I have to fix that right away just because it's going to bother everyone if they, you know, maybe you guys see it and now you guys can't unsee it. So just, this is like a quick hot fix. Not something I would suggest you to do. I'd probably like, you know, go about it and, you know, go over it a couple times with the pen tool. But for now, I'm just going to fill it in and that'll do the trick. And also I'm going to get rid of the LG logo. Just literally, this is probably not ideal, but I'm just going to take the selected color, take a brush, and it'll slowly start to disappear as I start putting, like, you know, color corrections over things like that, you know what I mean? So it won't be like, you know, you won't be able to like really tell that that was that. And this doesn't look that bad itself. So for me, that's okay. And so I'm going to group all this together. We're just going to call this monitor. And I would suggest most definitely to make sure you guys like number everything, or excuse me, name everything, just because it's going to be very difficult for you guys to keep a hold of everything, keep a track of everything. So the first thing I am going to do is I'm going to make this screen black. The way I'm going to go ahead and do that, of course, is make a new layer, and we're going to use the pen tool to actually just pen tool out the screen only of this monitor. So I'm going to have to make like a very educated guess and say this is the top. We're going to kind of pick, like, because like right here is kind of cut off, and so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of make my own screen when it comes to that. And you know what I mean? So the rest will look kind of like a bevel, and then I'll connect this over here. This needs to come down, obviously. Also, it needs to be curved just a tiny bit so that I can fix this, put that over there, drop this down. And the way I'm moving different points is holding control, and I select the points, and I'm able to move them freely. And the anchor points that are right here allow me to curve it the way I kind of want to. And I believe that's okay. That will do. It's not perfect, but it will do. Just take your time on like making the screen black. And like I said, if it's not perfect, this side is really perfect as right now, but this side's gonna be like more of like a creating my own bevel. So anyway, as soon as you pen tool out your monitor screen, right click, fill, and then just select black, and you're basically good to go. Now I don't want mine to be actually pure black. I kind of want to actually make mine the color of the background maybe, right? And then make it just a little darker. Or a little grayer. There we go. That's perfect. So there we go. Now our screen is ready to like mess around with. And as you see, this looks like a bevel on this side now. It does no longer look like it's kind of like this was the screen at one point, but we actually just made our own screen within the monitor. So the first thing we're going to be doing is using our cool explosion stock. So this stock right here, which is like this, it's like an explosion. I forgot how I created it, but I like found a stock and then I like obviously duplicated it. But it looked really like good duplicated, and I just took it from an old Matter design just because I couldn't find where it was coming from. But yeah, so we're gonna take this, throw it behind the monitor, and I'm gonna Control T, and we're just gonna hold Shift, take this down a notch, and we're basically gonna figure out how we want to form this. Now, right now, as you can see, this is very sharp at the bottom. We're gonna fix that just by using a simple eraser with 0 hardness, and we're just gonna erase things down here. And just so you guys know, it won't look erased. It will look more like a fog and kind of like more how you would expect like your mind to like say like this is smoke. You know what I mean? Like this looks like kind of like smoky now. Even though if it's erased, but it still looks good. And see up here, it does not look really good as all. Like I'm just gonna fix that. I don't want really sharp edges. I kind of want to break things apart. And that will be our first little explosion thing, right? So I'm gonna actually. At any point, you guys maybe want to rotate things and like kind of figure out if you guys want to have explosions in a different spot or like whatever, right? So what I think I'm good for that for now. What I'm gonna do is also take my smoke texture, which is a cool little texture I found on Google. I'm gonna take this, throw this behind here, and we're just gonna duplicate this a couple times. I'm just gonna duplicate it right now. I'm gonna hide this layer so I can duplicate this one when I want to make a new one. For now, right, Control T, shrink it down a little bit. And now I'm just going to take it, I'm going to move it down here. I'll have one like over here. I'll have one up here. Maybe I'll make a bigger one. So I'll just Control J this one, unhide it. I'll make a nice big one right here. And then maybe rasterize it and erase it a little bit. Right? And I kind of want to erase this one right here as well. So rasterize it, erase it. Okay. And what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to make another duplicate of the hidden one, unhide it, and I'm going to make this a little shorter, And the way I'm actually going to make this a little bit grayer is I'm going to I'm going to click on my layer, right? I'm going to rasterize it. Control U on your keyboard brings up this hue and saturation. If I just lower my lightness, since it is a transparent smokestack in this case, I can just lower the lightness to negative, and it'll make my my smoke just a little bit more darker. So it kind of like makes it like a denser kind of smoke, and I can actually have different layers of smoke. And this is basically what you're going to be doing to actually create this fun little smoky, you know, atmosphere. And I'm just going to go ahead and do something like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take another duplicate of this one, the first one we did, makes it a little more bigger. Right, I'm going to rotate it and try to figure out where would be the best spot to maybe make our clouds go up a little further. Right, and then maybe like something over here, kind of like what's going on right there. And what I can do as well is if I want to make this, maybe I want to make this a little more like hot, like more hot feeling, right? So it needs to be more of a saturated color. I can use brightness and contrast or even vibrance, something like that. But I can just take brightness and contrast, right click it, click on the clipping mask, and then just maybe like figure out what I kind of want here, right? So it looks pretty good in the background. And so basically what I'm just starting off to doing is just making sure I get the fun atmosphere. Oh, excuse me, that was weird. Advanced is telling me to figure something out, but I'm pretty sure I already I'm probably not signed in. Anyway, as you can see, it's like kind of like a fun, just not fun at all, but like a really dope atmosphere going on in the background. You can also see the different tones of the smoke that we just did with the hue and saturation stuff that you can see there. And also like kind of here is going on where I kind of made certain parts different, you know, a different kind of saturation. And the way I'm going to fix and make things like look more epic or more dense is above everything that we did besides the monitor. So I'm going to, everything below the monitor, I'm just going to take a hue and brightness and contrast, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and start to figure out what I kind of want. So something like that, right? It just makes everything more just that atmosphere that you're looking for, right? So I'm also going to take a vibrance really quickly, put my vibrance and saturation up, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take my vibrance, I'm going to click on my thumbnail on my vibrance, use my eraser, and I'm just going to go into certain parts and start creating kind of like depth. Not my eraser, I'm going to use my brush, excuse me, and then black is to erase, white is to fill back in when you click on this thumbnail. As you can see, if you look on this thumbnail and you also look here, it starts to erase the vibrance. You see the little black spot now? It's erased. That's what that means, right? So I can have like different saturations. So I can see like this, right? And like just if you keep layering that kind of vibrance, or even brightness and contrast as well. If I want to put another brightness and contrast maybe, right? And I'll just do something like that. Click on this thumbnail here, and then just take my eraser or my brush in this case, excuse me, a black brush, and kind of erase certain spots to make them lighter than others, right? I can do that. And also I'm just going to erase the atmosphere in the background a little bit just because I don't want it there as well. I just want it focused on the actual design. I'll just keep it black. I'll fix it with exposure or something like that. But that'll work, see? Just to make everything a little more darker. And this looks perfectly fine for me to start off and actually do other things now, as you can see there, right? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to go ahead and just put a little bit more of different like detail. So I had a brush stock that kind of looked like what do you call it? Like sparks, kind of. I kind of wanted sparks or like this, like, yeah, just pretty much like sparks. And I thought this looked pretty good for sparks. So what I did was I changed my brush color to a nice orange. And this is just you can probably type in like, maybe like sparks or something into Google, and you can find yourself some just really dope, simple sparks. But I just had one, a texture that kind of looked like sparks, and I was fine with this. Is there anything else? Was it this one for sure? Nah, not that. That looks pretty dumb in this case. Yeah, I'll just use this then. That's fine. So what I did was I actually changed the color by hue and saturation. I clipping masked this to the this layer of sparks. I'm just gonna name this for you, just so you guys know what that is. And I'm gonna change my hue and saturation to like a nice darker red. But I'm gonna click on my thumbnail, click on my eraser, and erase. I can just erase with a white eraser. if you want to erase it, or you can just use a brush and use a black eraser. And I'm just going to go ahead and give myself like a different kind of tone with these sparks. And what I'll say is that looks pretty good. However, I do want to erase the sparks down here. I just want to kind of have them outside right there. And that looks pretty good to me. So, basically the monitor is pretty much finished. What I'm going to really quickly do is take my smoke texture that I have hidden, duplicate it, make it a little more bigger. I'm going to make myself a nice atmosphere for the background itself. So with this big texture, I'm just going to duplicate it by holding Alt and just drag it. I'm just going to go ahead and make a nice smoke texture, something like that for the background. And which ones are they? So it's all these. I'm going to group these together. So Control G to group them. I'll re-show them. Control J to duplicate. Control E to merge. And I'll just hide this layer for later. This is our smoke texture. And I'm going to go ahead and just use filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And I'm going to just lower this down to, or put it up to maybe like 7. 7, I say it was okay. I'm going to lower my opacity. Keep it on normal. I'm just going to lower my opacity down. And just to make like a simple kind of atmosphere that's going on in the background here as well. Or like here. See what I mean? There is an atmosphere of smoke. And the way I kind of fix it and tone it all to one like nice like unified color is below the color correction or even above it. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to take an exposure. I'm going to put my offset up. Put my gamma up just a little bit. And there we go. It looks better. See? As you can see, I just put a simple exposure in. The settings for this was just basically putting my offset to like 0.0240 and my gamma correction to 0.94. And what this does is kind of like levels up all of our blacks and doesn't make these very odd like really deep blacks. It kind of looks very distorted. I'm not looking for that, but I'm looking for something like this where it's kind of like a smooth, just like a texture going on in the background, and it also lights up our kind of since it's not on a very dark background anymore. Our background is not like super black. The actual colors of our smoke and stuff don't really pop out as much, which leaves more room for, you know, doing the trick where you do brightness and contrast and erase things around. So all that, it's for a purpose to make it look something like this. Now, what you can do at this point is you can actually put a simple light at the top if you guys wish to. I don't know if you guys are a fan of this, but like some of you guys are, some of you guys aren't. There's just, it's opinions, right? Just a little brush on the top just to get a little light going on the top. And now, as you can see, the atmosphere of this color right now looks kind of boring, but when I actually fix things up, it'll look more blue, more epic, just more fun. And I'll show you guys how to do all that in a second. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take my monitor, and I'm going to click my monitor, go to my props here, and we're going to drag in now. We basically used this already. We used this already. So we're going to drag in the picture, this right here. I'm going to drag this picture in. And we're going to drag it in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to just basically put this above here. Rasterize. This is our screen. Right? I'm going to clipping mask this to our screen. And basically, I'll have it like that. I kind of want the plane to show a little bit, or that little fighter to show a little bit. So I can have, like, you know, it would look more cooler if I had one showing and I can start, you know, pulling them out. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put this on luminosity. I'm going to lower the opacity down. I've never found a real, a better use of the screen. I don't want to have my screen black. So what I did was I just put my opacity down to, like, you know, 8 or so. Go to filter, go to Gaussian blur, and then just basically blur it out, but not too much, just enough that you can still see what's going on, but you can't see what's going on if you focus on it or like right away. So this is good for me. Now, however, I'm going to take my prop, and I'm also going to really quickly pen tool this thing out. I'm probably going to speed this up, but I'm going to make this as fast as possible. And we're just going to pen tool out this this little plane wing, or this plane period. And we're going to go ahead and make sure. I'm trying to rush it. I shouldn't really be rushing it. So yeah, I'm just going to speed this part up. Okay, my really poor pen tool job is finished. I just did it really quickly. And I'm just going to basically, when I finish it, make selection, right click with the M selection tool, layer via cut, and I can take my plane, I'm going to drag it in here. And I think the size for it is, it's actually not that bad. I'm going to shrink it just a little bit. And the way I'm going to set this up, I'm going to set it up the same way I have here. Now, of course, the first thing I did was kind of like try to make sure, you also have to make sure the lighting of your stocks, and not like a source light, but just the way they look. As you can see, what's going on in the background is very dense, very contrast. It has a lot of contrast because we put contrast on it. So basically, with this plane, and what is this? This is our light, right? So this is our light. With this plane, I'm gonna also put a brightness and contrast on it. Right click, clip mask it, put a brightness and contrast on it to kind of match what's going on in the background here. So now, if I just left it with this very, obvious illuminated color, it wouldn't look right. But now that I have it like this, it kind of sort of like blends in with the background of this smoke stuff going on in the background. It looks pretty badass, right? So that's what I kind of want to do. And if I really want to, I can just basically control click on both of them and then control E and merge them all together and just have that just do that. Also, let's say if your pen tool was not great. I do this a lot when it comes to like manipulations and stuff. If your pen tool isn't great, if you just select the thumbnail with holding control. See, this is the layer thumbnail. Hold control, click that thumbnail of your plane, and if I go to filter, modify, I believe in this case is going to be expand, and put it by 1. Okay, no, modify, contract, not expand. And by 1 pixel, if you just press OK, and you take your M selection tool again, which is basically pressing M, or using the rectangle marquee tool, right click, layer via cut, and if you see this is actually the layer of the plane, and this is the extra that we just cut below it. So if you see this, it kind of gets rid of your harsh lines, and maybe if you have like this very odd, maybe like a lighting source that you can't really get rid of, doing this is good. It's really good in my opinion, because it still holds the shape. It doesn't do anything crazy. It just gets rid of all the excess that you probably do not want. As you can see, this right here looks a lot cleaner than this. As you can see, right? It doesn't look as cut out. It doesn't look, crazy like that. So that's like a thing you should probably always be doing if you're like using a pen tool and using manipulations and stuff. Now, the way I actually made this look like it's flying out of the screen is I made a layer below the plane, right? I used my pen tool. I selected one side of the wing, put it like toward like I guess a focal point, maybe like the middle of your screen, and just click on the other side of the plane, and we're just gonna go ahead and connect it just like so. Right click, make selection, or we can just right click, fill, and drop down and use white. We can press OK, and then we can just delete the path because we don't need that no more. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to lower the opacity on normal, and I'm going to just drag it down to maybe about 5. Now, I do not want this harsh, obvious triangle shape going on here. I'm going to erase this with a soft brush, right? Just like so. And I'm also going to erase this just so it kind of looks like a stream. As you guys probably know, like planes have that kind of like a stream going on. Of course, when they're flying through the air, cutting through the clouds and whatnot, you kind of have that like streak going on. So that's what I'm doing right there. Now, as well, I'm gonna go back to my props and I'm gonna figure out where this is. There it is. This is like I just typed in jet exhaust like stock or something like that, and I'm just gonna use this the wand tool. I know the texture is not like obvious high quality. It's really poor quality actually, but it worked for me. And I'm just gonna actually refine edges and use my feather. Press OK, and then just press delete on my keyboard a couple times. Kind of gives me a help when I want to erase it, because I'm going to erase it a little bit. It might look terrible right now, but when you shrink it, it's not as noticeable, and it's also not going to be as bad. So right there, that's pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit of hardness on. Right, and just kind of like tone that up. Okay. And we're just going to drag this inside this, and we're going to shrink this, of course. And shrinking it will kind of retain its quality, give it back to probably what the quality was or should have been. And then I'm just going to go ahead and line this up. And there we go. I don't want this to be dark on this side. I want this to be very vibrant. There we go. Maybe lower my eraser, put my brush back to 0 hardness, and kind of make sure it fades. And I also want to make sure this looks very epic, this stuff going on in the background here. So I'm going to put a brightness and contrast, clear mask this as well, and make sure I get that, there we go, to make it look more dense, and also pop back out from the smoke going in the background. So this is our plain exhaust, I guess. Excuse my spelling, I know that's wrong. Okay. God, alright. Is that still wrong? It might just be. Dude, my spelling is god-awful. Am I the only one? So really quickly, I'm just going to actually make a duplicate of this plane, and I'm just going to go ahead and Control-T and just flip it horizontal and just make this one smaller. I'm going to do the same exact thing, but just smaller. Just kind of give it more of like an epic feel, right? This is our plane 2, and we're going to make a layer below plane 2. And we're going to just make sure we kind of go with the same focal point we had, right? Fill it in with white, drop down use, lower the opacity down, and take our eraser, soft brush eraser, and kind of erase what we got going on there. There we go. And I will take the plane's exhaust, duplicate this with either Control J or just Alt drag it. And I'm just going to go ahead and drag this, drag this way. Flip it horizontal. Shrink it a lot. Rotate it maybe a little bit. And there we go. Now we have 2 jets flying out of the screen. And of course I had this one going this way. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really make too much sense, but it works out and looks pretty cool still. So, after all this, you kind of see what's going on here. It looks more cooler right now because I haven't done the finishing CC. But we're pretty much almost done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to throw the tank in. And the tank is here, okay? I just want to check through the layers, see if I missed anything. So the tank. Now, this is a part where I'm just going to actually show you guys what I meant by maybe fixing the image to make sure it looks like it belongs. You don't want things to just pop out and act like if you guys see like TV shows or like, you know, cartoons or whatever, you kind of see like one part of like maybe like a door or like a child's like freaking cartoon, right? You always see this one part where it's like a little bit more illuminated than everything else, so you know that door is gonna open and be like, oh look, here's the fucking kitty or some shit, like, right? So just make sure that's not what you want. You don't want it to be like that. You don't want to be like an instant, oh, that was placed in there. So what I'm gonna do is I already know that this part right here needs to get fixed. It needs to get a little bit more darker, and so does this. I don't want this this is a smoke right here, right? So I'm gonna cover the smoke with more smoke, but before I do that, I wanna make sure everything looks kind of even. So, what do you guys guess? Brightness and contrast is what I use for most things like this. So I'm gonna click mask this. On my thumbnail, I'm going to use an eraser, either a white eraser or a black brush to erase on the thumbnail. I'm gonna use this and just erase everything besides the nozzle first. So as you can see, everything will be erased besides the nozzle. As you can see right here, right, it's black. I make sure I erased it all besides the nozzle of the tank. Now I'm gonna double click on this to actually bring out the brightness and contrast, and I'm gonna fix this and kind of tone this maybe like this, right? I believe this looks better than that, right? I could be wrong, but after, you know, I fix everything, I'll say like this is, right now this is okay for me. I'm going to throw in another brightness and contrast, however, and do the same thing. I'm going to erase everything besides, like, this part right here. So there we go. It's erased. Double click on this, and maybe I'll just tone this just like so. And for me, that looks pretty good. I kind of want to do it one more time back here. So everything besides that, and then we'll take this and kind of like that. So what I pretty much did was trying to like tone everything so it kind of looks like one even tone, besides having it like this. Okay, you throw this in there, it's obvious that it's put in there, but you kind of tone things down a little bit, fix it a little bit. I think it looks a lot better. So with this new tank going on here, I'm going to go ahead and just group this all together. I'm going to shrink this a little bit as well, though. I want it incredibly big. And the way I'm going to actually do this, I want to maybe have it... Alright, I want it to have at least, like, you know, coming at the bevel of this. There we go. So it looks like it's coming out. So the way I'm actually going to do this, I'm going to Control J and duplicate it, right? So this is the tank. And below it's going to be the backup. I'm just going to hide that layer. I'm going to Control E to merge everything together. So now it's just one full layer, nothing else. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, to make this look like it's coming out of the screen, if you guys see it here, what I did was, I took a lasso tool and kind of just like freely kind of broke it just something like this, right? And I'm going to connect it on this side. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to right click, layer via cut. Now, as for the layer mode for this, I'm not really sure what I had last time, but I'm just going to figure it out right now. I think difference is okay. I'll load it. Okay, so difference is not that bad. I put my my blend mode on difference for the cut, and I'm just going to put this on like 50% for now. Now this is the tank end, right? And what this will be is that's that. Okay, and this is the tank. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my tank layer, and I'm just gonna take a soft brush eraser and just erase these hard edges. So just click a couple times, and you'll see yourself starting to erase. Right, there we go. And also the same thing has to happen on the other side, where it has tank end. To soften everything up, I'll take my tank end layer and just move it a couple times to the left with my arrow keys, just to have it look like now it's kind of like coming out of a screen. It's darker on one side, and it kind of matches the darkness that's coming out from the monitor itself. And for me, it looks pretty good. And also, I can just take my smoke texture now, which is over here, drag this above maybe the tank, and figure out where it is. Oh, I gotta unhide it. Control T, and we'll start going ahead and throwing our smoke over this to kind of cover what's going on over here, but also maybe just like the atmosphere needs to just change a little bit as well, because now we have a tank coming out of a screen, so we want to make sure it looks pretty damn cool. So I'm going to rasterize all these layers actually, and I'm just going to go ahead and erase what's going on here just a little bit. Not excessively, not too much, right? It's like kind of giving like your design a haircut. There we go. So it kind of looks pretty good right there. Now, if I really want to, I'll take this layer, duplicate it, but I'll go ahead and use Control U, and I'll lower my my lightness a little bit to kind of have a nice darker, dense cloud, or maybe like a fading away cloud. Take my eraser, and just make a little dip past a little bit, and throw a couple of these around, so it's not like incredibly harsh white clouds, right? Okay. And now pretty much the only thing that really lies next is just the color correction. Now the way I set this up to make it look super epic and fun like this, and these clouds look a little bit differently as well because of the color correction as well. So we're going to just start off with just doing brightness and contrasts and see what happens, right? Brightness and contrast, we're going to go negative for the brightness and up for the contrast. And we're going to start figuring out that the more we do this, right? So that looks really good, like just like so. And also you can see the tank now looks more alike, like with these, like all this stuff going on around over here. Now, the brightness and contrast does look good. I made it maybe about 20 brightness and then a contrast about 75. So it kind of brings everything at one nice tone. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a photo filter. Now the photo filter is located right over, I'm blind, photo filter. And this is what I kind of had the blue tint. So I'm just going to click on color. I'm going to drag this down, and you can figure out whatever the heck you guys like. But this right here, you see this blue tint that I have going on here? Now, this is like an orange tint. I don't really like that. The green tint's really awkward. But the blue tint kind of just like fixes everything. It just makes everything look pretty damn cool. So, and like I literally mean cool, like a cool tone. And you can see that there. I'm clicking it off and on. It looks pretty good. Now, what I can also do is I can use a brightness. I can use also a curve. I can use a nice little S curve, maybe. Right? Okay. Nice little S curve. The S curve as well will kind of like also help out with the background itself. Like getting very, you know, just the distortion that's going on in the background is not ideal. I could use maybe like possibly another. I can also use level, but it's too much possibly. I'll take a vibrance really quickly. And now this is, you see how like harsh this is right here? This red, it's kind of the same red that's going on over here, and this is basically what I did. I took a vibrance, but I'm gonna click on the thumbnail, take my eraser. Over here does not look good, so I'm gonna lower the vibrance down. Also, I don't want it to be like molten hot right there. I want to have it like molten hot right there. I'll get rid of that. I'll make sure like only the tip is pretty like hot right there, and like something like that looks pretty badass, right? Okay, we're pretty much almost done. Right now I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything I really want to do. Possibly take the background, like below, like, maybe like where you started your smoke textures. Maybe take a nice simple, like, I'm going to take my brush stock. I'm just going to click a couple times with a white, like a dust brush, I guess you can say. Put this on normal, leave it on normal actually, and just lower the opacity down on some of this. Kind of give it a little more, you know, character going on in the background. And like pretty much, it's literally up to you at this point now, like what's gonna happen. Like what do you want to happen for this, you know, this advertising design? I can have like Modern Warfare Remastered on the right again if I really want to. However, I kind of want to make things just a little more darker. I'm not sure if I want to use exposure for this. I probably definitely don't, but I'm just going to see what happens. That was my chair. So, I mean, exposure doesn't look incredibly terrible, but it gets rid of our background. So I'm just going to lower the opacity maybe. And like a simple, like all this stuff is happening now. It's just like these simple little things you kind of want to see happen to your banner design. So I want to make things darker, possibly use exposure, possibly use brightness and contrast, even possibly use a gradient map, just simple black to white. But this right now, for me, I think it's gonna work. Like for me, and I'm pretty satisfied with how this looks. Right now, possibly all I really need is below this brightness and contrast. I'm gonna put a new layer, and we're just gonna take a simple soft brush, and we're gonna also take a simple like maybe an orange, and we're just gonna click like maybe like right here, and also like on the right side of this this little tank right here. I'm gonna put it on, which blend mode do I want to put it on? Linear dodge add is not bad. So I'm gonna take my eraser now and kind of like fix the light a little bit. I only wanted to have it really like shining just a little bit on the tank. So there we go. I'll split it in half. Then I'll fix it with a bigger brush. And also just take this and split it there. And now if I really want other little hints of color, I can take my brush. I would probably still use linear dodge add, but maybe like below the monitor, kind of have like a little light coming on the back, put on linear dodge add, and maybe a little light coming over here, possibly. Maybe not too much. I'll say like right there, linear dodge add, lower the opacity just a little bit maybe. I don't really like it like there. I will only put it where the smoke is. And for me, this will pretty much be it, right? This is like basically the whole part of the manipulation. Everything that comes after this is pretty much what you want to do with the design. So I decided to put, you know, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and I started to put like little stocks in the background, and that's all I really did. The setup is the same exact, and it's really fun. So pretty much the setup was, you know, using these very high contrasted, you know, dark clouds, this and that. But like I said, you can also use, like I would love to like maybe remake this tutorial and do it with like water and like having like waves in the background, maybe even like using it for like, I don't know, like G Fuel ads or like going off like in the freaking, like they're just popping off on Twitter. Maybe like have G Fuel ads, like have G Fuel like, you know, like falling out of the monitor or whatnot. And like this is the ideas I kind of want to give you, but I also want to give you the techniques by using something I'm like really familiar with when it comes to like, you know, Call of Duty stuff, right? And so this is basically that, and I think it looks pretty darn cool. And if it was up to me, if I could have found, I tried to find a ship like from like shipment, right? Is that the map in Modern Warfare Remastered, Call of Duty 4, and like kind of have the ship like kind of coming out this way, just to have something else coming out this way. And also the tank, the shot that was done with the tank, I didn't really use this prop. However, all I really did was I just basically, I'm gonna use refine edges, feather again, press OK, delete a couple times, and I'll just take this, drag this in here, and I'll just take it, shrink it down. I'll have the blast pretty big, right? I'll zoom in over here, and it kind of makes the tank look like it's shooting. And the shot itself does not look very well until I put a brightness and contrast on it. And maybe, don't want to distort it too much, and there we go. Right? So it kind of looks like the tank is now firing a little bit, and maybe it's too harsh. Maybe I'll just like erase this a little bit, move that to tip, right? Kind of looks like the tank is firing now, and that's when I kind of put the bullet. I just kind of simple like took my text and just rasterized it, and I just took my pen tool and kind of followed along the line, like just like so, and like basically cut out that little part so it kind of like has a bullet flying through, etc., stuff like that. And also a little final thing you also do as well is you take everything you just did, including the background, you duplicate it with Control J and Control E, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a simple blur. I'm gonna make two duplicates of this, right? So I'm gonna take one of them and go to simple Gaussian blur, maybe put it on like 1.5 pixels. Take your eraser and just erase spots that you may want to keep. Like, look how beautiful that looks. This looks like it's heavy smoke going on. And also, of course, I want these to show. I definitely want that to show. I definitely want this smoke to show. And I also want these edges of the monitor to show. Maybe not the bottom of that. And like that. And this right here just kind of also starts building that atmosphere you're probably looking for. And look at this is this is on, this is off. It's little, but it's still really, really nice. And also maybe like a little bit of that, right? And also if you maybe like motion blur. That's why I made another duplicate. So I'm going to take this one and put this on motion blur this time. And we're just going to put it on, I don't know, 28 is fine for me right now. I'm just trying to like show you guys the means of what's going to happen. So maybe like have the tank right here, so it looks like it's firing. You would know that a tank, like the tube thing or whatever you call it, the launcher goes in and out of the tank. So maybe like have a little motion blur there. So like right there, right? Just a little bit of motion blur. Maybe have the back a little bit motion blurred. Everything else for me doesn't need to be motion blurred. So that is, you know, that right there. So there we go, right? So it's just like building what you kind of want, and the end result looks pretty badass, and I do like how this looks. And we're just gonna go ahead and just type in Modern Warfare Remastered, and that will be the end mastered. Boom, the end of the tutorial. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a pretty long tutorial. It was just, I really just wanted to do something fun, like manipulation-wise, and hopefully maybe learn something. Maybe you have some inspiration now, and I hope you guys take this tutorial, run away with it, and also do not forget to leave a like. 200 likes on the video equals a secret down below, which will most likely be the PSD of the video that you just now watched. Also, do not forget sellfy.com/SesoHQ for any pre-mades and packs. As low as $3, texture packs $3. Also, these two new dope products, do not let them just like sit there. This is already doing extremely well. But as for people who want pre-mades, what if I said you can have 12 of them for for literally $10? So 12 different pre-mades. You can have one pre-made different each week, and within that you can have different colors, different whatever you want inside these actually on their own. So it's pretty awesome. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Do not forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We're almost at 60K. We're like 1.5K away, so that's not that far away at all. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you guys later. Seso HQ is out. Peace.